the lesson number 1. Were all of you there in the demo, or yes or no? Any of you were there in the demo? You can unmute yourself or write it on chat, whatever is fine with you.
Yeah, this is Rachna. I was in demo, yes.
Oh, you were in demo. Okay, great. So you did get some idea about.
I was also there in the demo.
Oh, Shikha, you were also there. Hi. Okay, great. So, and Anish, you were there? Okay, fine. So we'll start with lesson number 1, and I'll repeat it again. Anytime, feel free to interrupt, to ask questions. There are no silly questions, no stupid questions. Please ask for clarifications. Don't worry about it. If you're feeling shy, you can write it on the chat. I'll try to answer it there. So now we'll start with lesson number 1, which says positioning business analysis. And this is a little cartoon that I'd like to share with you. So here, these are some of the terms, or these are the topics that we will cover in this lesson. Don't worry about what they mean right now. I just want you to know that this is what we're going to cover. And at the end of this unit, these are the things that you will be able to understand. The first one being defining the critical role of a BA with respect to the requirements definition and management, positioning BA within the overall discipline of project management, and justifying creation and adoption of a formal business analysis documentation strategy. Don't worry, you will understand all this. We'll start here. So what is business analysis? I did give you some idea in the demo. We'll look at a more formal and definition now. So business analysis is the set of tasks and techniques used to work as a liaison among stakeholders in order to understand and the structure, policies, operations of an organization and recommend solutions that enable the organization to achieve its goal. So I know it looks like it's difficult to understand, but it's not. So couple of things. What is business analysis? One, it is two things. It is tasks and it is techniques. Okay. So business analysis consists of different tasks and different techniques. What are they used for? They're used by a business analyst to work as a liaison, which means work as a bridge or as a person who is coordinating between stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? We will look at more formal definition, but stakeholders mean the people who have some vested interest in the project, and there are a lot of people, and we'll go deeper into that. And why do we use these tasks and techniques? To understand the structure, policies, and operations of an organization, and to recommend solutions. Very, very important. This is what we do. This is what business analysts do. They recommend solutions that enable the organization to achieve its goals. So the organization will come up with some kind of a problem, and the BA, through his or her tasks or techniques, will work together with the stakeholders. They will understand the policies, the structure, the operations of the organization, and then recommend solutions. So this is the work of BA. So if we look at the role of a BA, starts somewhere here. Define the scope of the business, then you elicit requirements, analyze and document them, communicate them with the stakeholders, come up with a solution, and verify that the solution meets the requirement. Very important. What you are suggesting to your stakeholders, to their organization, it should be verified with the problem that they have. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense, right? Any doubt on this page? Any question? No? Did everybody understand the meaning? It will get better with coming pages and coming lessons, but did you get just a basic idea? All of you? Yes? At least on the chat say
yeah,
yes.
Garima, yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it is. This is Anish. It's fine.
Okay, hi, Anish. Yeah. All right.
Right.
So now business analysis and its relation to the projects. Okay. So business analysis is most often conducted within the context of a project. So for us to conduct our business analysis, there has to be a project, and project has to have a goal, and with a goal it has to start somewhere and finish somewhere, right? It cannot be ever it cannot just go on forever. It has to have a clear start and a finish. So start is, what is a start? This is the problem, and the finish, this is the solution. Operational processes are often cyclical work such as month-end reporting. Projects can strain operational processes due to the need to take users away from their regular duties and rhythms. So don't worry about this part right now. It might seem overwhelming. Just understand this. So when do we conduct business analysis? When there is a project, and the project has to have a goal with a clear start, this is a problem, and clear finish. Okay? Now we have to understand what is a project. So this is the definition given by PMI, which is a Project Management Institute. So a couple of things in the definition of a project. One, it has to be a temporary endeavor, which means, as I said, it cannot go on forever. It has to have a clear start and a clear end. Only then it can be called as a project. Therefore, it will be temporary, and the endeavor should create a unique product or a service or any other kind of result. Otherwise, it cannot be called a project. So it has to be temporary. It has to be undertaken to create something unique. If it already exists, then there is no point in doing this, right? So it has to create something unique. It could be a product, it could be a service, or a result, some kind of result. Okay? Am I going too fast? Yes? Or the speed okay?
No, the speed is good.
Okay, thank you. All right. So now the project management, it has two different perspectives. One is called the project management perspective, and the other one is called the SDLC perspective. So when you have entered into a project, you will be hearing these terms every single day. So it's important to understand what they mean. The number one, it's called the project management perspective, and it has these 5 phases. Initiation, which is the start of the project. Planning, when you plan what to do, how to do it, how long it's going to take, what is the budget, how many people are required, all of that, logistics and finance and coordination and project architecture, project planning, all of it. Then you start with the execution, then control. Control meaning this is mostly the maintenance phase, or you just do a health check on a project. It could be any of it, and then there is a closure. These are 5 different phases. There is another perspective at looking at projects, and it's called the Systems Development Life Cycle Perspective, SDLC. You will hear this term a lot, SDLC perspective. It is more or less the same thing, but it looks at projects in a different manner, in 6 different stages. Number 1 is analysis, same thing as initiation, but initiation has been divided into analysis and design. So you analyze the problem, come up with a design of the project, then you start construction, which means you start, if you are, for example, if you're making an app for maybe a healthcare company, maybe for United, you actually start making that app. This is the construction phase. Then when you made that app, you go into a testing phase, which means you check if this is what the client really required. Have we made the correct thing or not? Then we go to implementation. It's the same here as execution, which means once we already have the product or the app or the service, then we implement it on the system of the stakeholders. And then there's the post-implementation support. This is also the maintenance phase or the control phase or the health check phase. It could be any of these three things or all of these three things. Okay? Any question on this page?
Yes, Garima, I have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
So I just wanted to know, is one perspective is more related to business analysis than the other one, or it just that depends on the project, or it's just both used for the business analysis, or what's the difference?
No. So this, what this slide tells you is just two different ways of looking at a project. But what you will call a project will depend on your company, will depend on what perspective they follow. Now even there are things which are beyond SDLC. So this becomes more or less theory, but you still need to know, because if you go there and you ask them about the project and they say, okay, fine, we're in the design state and this is what we're doing, you should know what that means. So this is more of a theory for you right now. These are the terms that you should know what they mean.
Okay.
Yeah, but
okay.
It will depend on the project and the company, what they use. Just two different ways of looking at a project. And it's like,
okay.
Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, integrating the two perspectives, typical project phases. So the projects are defined and managed in phases. Each organization will have its own policy, and typical phases appear in the graphic here. So initiation, then these activities could be merged into one, it could be separate, they could be running simultaneously in some of the projects these days, they could be running one by one. It really depends on what kind of perspective your company has, what kind of methodology they are following. So as I said, this is more of a theory for you right now, but it's good to know what they mean. So number one becomes initiation, then you go to analysis, design, construction, testing, and implementation. They could be the same as planning, execution, and control. This is control. Testing could be part of execution, testing could be part of control, and then it's closure and post-implementation, which is the maintenance phase or the support phase, or it could be the health check phase. Now, what is a BA's role throughout the project? So when I say throughout the project, this will also differ from company and the project and the methodology the company is using, the client is using right now. So some companies, your work will be done here at the analysis phase. You don't even work on design. Some places you have to do analysis, be part of the team that designs, be available to answer questions in the construction phase, because you are the one who's supposed to know the most about the client and client's requirement. You could be also part of the testing team, especially UAT, which is user acceptance testing. So these days, most of the BAs are involved in the UAT, user acceptance testing. I will tell you more what that means. But so a business analyst could be involved in all the three phases, or maybe just till the analysis stage. So here we are looking at the difference between a project manager's role and a business analyst role. And again, in some companies, this could be one single person doing a project manager's role and a business analyst role. In some companies, it's a very, very different role, very, very clearly marked differences. In some companies, they're just one. So just understand all of it, and then when you go into a real project.
Garima, I have a question.
Yeah.
Garima?
Yes.
Yeah, how can one business analyst can handle the project manager role?
See, in today's world,
Yeah.
lots and lots of roles are merging. Okay, so I am not saying that every company will ask you to do that, every role will ask you to do that, but some business analyst roles grow into a project management role. They start taking up some of the duties and then they become project managers. Sometimes it's a clearly defined differentiation between the two roles. Sometimes they merge a little bit. Sometimes a project business analyst may be reporting here and helping the project manager with some of the duties. So it's not very, very clearly defined in some companies. So I just need you to know what the roles are and how some of the companies might want you to do somewhat project manager role, maybe 10%, 80%. I mean, just asking you to have a clear, have an open mind. Yeah?
Yeah, so the BA is the gateway to become a project manager also, right?
It is one of the paths, as I said in the demo. It is one of the paths.
Thank you.
So, project manager accountable for the overall project coordination. This is an important point here. Overall, accountable for overall project coordination and the successful implementation of all deliverables on time, to budget, and match to requirements. It's comparable to an orchestra conductor who coordinates the work of a team of specialists. So this is what a project manager does. And as I have mentioned here, team of specialists, he has lots of people here with him or her in the team to help with the management of the project. Or as I said the other day also, each and everyone in a project is working as a team. They support each other, they help each other. So it's a combined duty, a combined goal for everybody to have the project deliver on time, but budget and all business analysts don't really worry about. For them, it's mostly matching the requirements. Now, in this role, the business analyst leads during the analysis phase. Most of the work of a business analyst would be here in the analysis phase. Analysis phase meaning analyzing the stakeholders' business needs and problems, and then helping the team come up with a solution. And increasingly leads during the user acceptance testing. As I said, UAT, most of the BAs these days are involved in user acceptance testing. And this is not technical, so don't worry about it. It's about teaching or helping your stakeholders or your users with the functionalities, helping them navigate, helping with the training material, all of that. Yeah? Now we come to triple constraints of a project management. When I say constraint, anybody can tell me what a constraint means?
Hindrances, obstacles?
Yes, obstacles. These are the obstacles. So here we have 3 obstacles. These are, not really obstacles, but these are the factors that will impact the health of the project. So the cost, it should remain within budget. Time, the project should be completed within time mentioned by the stakeholders and within the scope. We will see what scope is. Now these are the accountabilities that we talk about. There is some, okay, this is a misplaced site. We'll look at it later. First, let's look at a project scope and project scope creep. So what is a scope? Scope means what my client wants me to do and achieve in one single project is my scope. So for example, the client, I'll take the same example of a healthcare provider, for example, United, and they've asked me to make a health-based app, kind of a game, wherein the patients can log in and play with each other on the app and then share the results with their friends or the community or their family. So this is the scope of my project. And what the creep means is it sometimes it goes beyond the scope, beyond what is mentioned as part of the project. And it is both the role of a BA and a project manager to make sure that this doesn't happen. So the users are normally not aware of all the details surrounding the requirements until they participate in business analysis activities. Users meaning, for example, if we take about the health-based app, users would mean the patients who are going to play the app. So they are not aware of the details surrounding the requirement until they participate in business analysis activities. Recursive loops of elicitation, documentation, review, and approval needed to accommodate this discovery process. So when we talk about a project scope, recursive loops, many intertwining loops, which would means meetings, reviews, email, telephone calls are required to elicitate, which means to bring out the requirement, to document them, to review them, and to get approval needed to accommodate this discovery process. Discovery meaning what is the exact scope of the project. It might sound like a very simple thing right now, that this is, I need to make an health-based app where the patients can play and share the results with each other. But when you go into the discovery process, you realize that there are so many minute details, and if everything is not elicited, documented, and approved properly, then the client might keep on asking for one more thing and one more addition and one more change, and then the project just goes out of hand, out of time, out of budget, and that should not happen. So tiny adjustments can add to extensive scope creep over time. Just minute adjustment can take days and weeks and a lot of resources and money, and that affects the health of the project badly. So it's important that the project is kept within the scope, and scope creep doesn't happen. Scope creep becomes especially dangerous when not tracked and managed. Did you understand what scope creep is? Did it just give you a basic idea what scope means? Scope means what exactly needs to be done, and creep means the client keeps asking for minute adjustment, and then it just goes on and beyond the budget and time. Yeah? Okay, so this slide should have come first. Defining scope creep. So what is to be included? What is to be excluded? Not just mentioning what is to be included, but what is to be excluded is also very important. Because when you leave this open, the client might come back and say, okay, I don't just want my patients to share the game results with their family. I also want them to be able to share it socially. Now this might seem like a small, tiny, valid request, but when we have a team working on this, it might lead to huge scope creep. So include what is included, what is excluded, very, very important to define. Provide high-level quality metrics for success, meaning defining what would mean that the project is successful. High-level meaning not going into a lot of detail, just giving it a broad outline. Document links to product lifecycle management, especially release management schedules. So we have We learned about SDLC and the project management perspectives some slides back. So there should be documents. Everything should link to the release management schedule and what is the life cycle of a project that you're following. So when I say release management schedules, this means what part of the project has to be released, what part has to be tested, when does it go on production, all of it needs to be documented well. Then you have to state the key success factors of a business case. So you can look at business case as a business problem here. So when I'm saying I'm producing an app, health-based app, what is the key success factor? What will make my client say, okay, fantastic, it has been a successful project? To know this, you have to list the expected benefits to the organization. Okay, if you do this, this will happen. If you bring all your patients, for example, you have 100 patients, you bring them all to this health-based apps, there would be 20% increase in the client retention, just a random number. So you have to make sure that the benefits are listed clearly for the organization. Related costs, expected returns on investment schedule, everything has to be clearly mentioned at the beginning of the project. Establish clear functionality boundaries for the current and future system, as well as integration points with others. So if this sounds really tough right now, just don't worry about it. Just think of this one. Establish clear functionality boundaries, which means what functions, what are the functions that my app will provide right now, and if there is an extension to this project, if there is something that's coming up in apart from this particular project that we have defined, what are the functionalities that my app would have? So defining all of this really clearly would help you not to go beyond your scope. Yeah.
Garima, a quick question.
Yes.
So a business analyst has to do a cost-benefit analysis also?
No. As I said, it is a part of the project manager's role. But we, as a business analyst, should know. We should just know that there are constraints regarding costs, and everybody has to remain. Have to take care of that. But it's not the business analyst role; it's a project manager's role.
Okay. Thank you.
Project owner owns acceptable risk. We have to know that all projects are risky, which means certain amount of risk is associated with all kinds of projects. It could be in terms of money, it could be in terms of random occurrences, it could be anything. Project sponsor, who is the sponsor? Sponsor is the person who will be paying for the project. So when I'm saying United Healthcare, so maybe the team, no, sorry, not the team. Maybe the person who has given you the project, that person becomes your project sponsor. The person who will be paying money for a project is a project sponsor. So the project sponsor must define the level of acceptable risk. He or she should be able to define in clear terms what are the risks that I'm willing to work with. Gathering and documenting requirements makes risks visible, providing crucial decision support. So when you start gathering your requirement and documenting them, it makes the risk visible, which means we have a clearer idea of what kind of risks are we dealing with. Providing crucial decision support. Business analysis can lead to project cancellation if it has uncovered items representing unacceptable risks. So suppose I'm given a project from one of my sponsors or one of my stakeholders, and while doing the analysis, I realize that there are some uncovered items, unmentioned items, and they have some acceptable risks. It could be a legal risk, it could be a financial risk, it could be any kind of risk. So it could lead to project cancellation. high risk levels may be acceptable under certain business circumstances. As a business analyst, right now you don't have to worry about that. You just have to know that these are some of the conditions under which projects function. Risk levels are reassessed on a plan versus actual basis at project milestones. So milestone meaning, for example, every different phase like analysis and planning and execution, at the end of that phase you reassess the risk level. You meaning the business analyst is not doing this. It's part of more high level decision. You just have to know it. Then this is the value triangle for business analysis. So when you're doing your business analysis work, these are the following values that you add: visibility, traceability, and accountability. All these three values have to be inherent in your work. How do you add visibility? Properly conducted business analysis mandates the formal documentation of all requirements. So it doesn't mean if you have, if you know the requirement, if you had a meeting with your client, or phone calls and emails, but if you have not formally documented these requirements, they don't mean anything. This is the value add that you have to do. This is the main job, to formally document all the requirements in the templates provided, and every company will have their own rules and templates and documents regarding that, to make sure that it's formally documented. Nothing can remain hidden or left to verbal agreement. Very, very important. Maybe you go into a meeting with a client and the client says, can you just integrate it with social media? And you're like, yeah, fine, sure, I'll do it. And you come back and you don't mention it anywhere, then the project is not, the project team will not make it, and the client, you'll have to face the client. This cannot happen. Everything has to be formally documented. Then next is accountability. Properly documented business analysis mandates all documentation has to be signed off with the client acceptor, who represents the aggregate needs of the user community. Meaning, after you have documented everything, all the documents need to be signed off. The proper signing off authority you will know when you go into a project, but that person or group of people have to sign off the document. Only then you can start working on it. Only then you will hold the client accountable of what they have committed to and what you have committed to. And that client acceptor will represent the aggregate, which means the total needs of the users, the user community. And he or she, of course, should have the authority to sign on their behalf. Now, traceability. Traceability enables mapping of project deliverables all the way back to the specification. Meaning, for example, you have created a functionality in your project saying you have linked your app to social media. Now you go back and see if this is what the original requirement was. Original requirement documents should have mentioned this. Otherwise, there is no point in building it. Why did you build it? So every single functionality, you should be able to trace back to the original documents. If it's in the original document, only then you should have built it. Traceability also means showing how different levels of requirement relate to each other, which means such a user and management. So everything should be linked, everything should be should have connecting threads, and everything should be able to, you should be able to trace it back to the original requirement documentation, the requirements provided, documented by you and signed off by the proper signing authority. And then it
Garima, can you give me one proper example of traceability, because I have a confusion?
Okay, so as I said about the social media in your health in a health-based game or the app. So the client asked you, no, so let's start here. So you built the app and you've connected to the social media. So every result, suppose you've got a high score, you will be able to put it on your Facebook or your Instagram or anywhere in the social media. So you should be able to go back and trace it to the original requirement document. Did the client ask you to do this? Was it part of your scope? Yes or no? So every functionality you should be able to trace back to the original document. It should be mentioned there. Otherwise, you should have not made it. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you, great, yes. I got it.
Yeah. Now, this is the process of business analysis. Starts somewhere here at discovery. And discovery remains the center of all the phases of business analysis. So start with defining your requirements. Go to modeling. So your architect, the software architect will be helping you with this. Then designing or simulating, implementation, deployment, execution, monitoring, which means the health check. It could also mean the testing, analyzing again, optimizing again, which means when you monitored it and you found that this is not exactly what the client asked, there is something needs to be tweaked. So you go back to analysis, optimize it, and then correct the issues that you found in the monitoring or the discovery process. This is fairly simple, I think. Now, what is the underlying theme of a business analyst's work? Elicit, structure, document, validate. Define the problem and establish the scope. Scope meaning what needs to be done, what needs to be excluded. Plan it, prepare its structure, document it, very, very important, document, proper documentation, signing off, created the BRD. This is a business requirement document. So ESD and V, elicit, structure, document, validate. Did you understand the meaning of validate? Did the product that I have created, does it match, does it trace back to the original requirement that was given to me? Or have I made something that is no way correlated to what the client asked me to do? So elicit, which means get the requirement out of the client in detail, plan your work, create the structure, gather all the requirement documents, proper documentation, formal documentation, very, very important, signing off, and then validation. And all this happens in the analysis phase of business analysis. Why is there a need of formal documentation strategy? So when I keep on saying that everything has to be formally documented and signed off, it is important because one, it sets the expectation, which means everybody knows exactly what to do. Things cannot be left open. Things need to be very, very clearly written down, mentioned, formally documented. Otherwise, there is a huge team, there is miscommunication all the time, and you cannot deliver what the client wanted you to. So it sets the expectation and allows structured approach to everything, to creating solutions, feedbacks, a review. Otherwise, you would not know. I mean, there cannot be any health check, there cannot be any monitoring if there was no formal document to start with. Requires more upfront time and effort, but it's ultimately much cheaper and safer. Do you understand the meaning of this part? To start with, you might think, oh my goodness, this is taking so much time and effort just to create a formal document. Why is this required? But if you don't do this at the start, what you will create will be a huge mess. So once you spend time doing this, then ultimately it works out much cheaper and safer than chaos. And you deliver to the client what the client wanted, ultimately make them happy, maybe getting the next project, maybe getting more recommendation, more leads.
Garima, mostly business analysts have limited time or deadline to prepare these documents, or they have enough time to do that?
Yes, everything is on a deadline. Everybody is on a deadline. That's why we said that there are 3 constraints to a project, and one of them is time. So if my client has said that you have 3 months to do this, 3 months might seem like a lot of time, but there is so much documentation and design, and I mean all the phases take a lot of time. But this is project manager's responsibility to allow enough time for all the activity and allot it properly, make sure that there are enough resources in terms of time, money, people, everything, to so that the project objectives are achieved.
Okay.
Anyone else? More questions? No questions? Anish, Shikha, Rachna, Sameer, anybody more questions?
Yeah, I'm trying to be a good listener. If I have a question, I'll ask you.
Absolutely. Okay,
Maybe tomorrow I'll have confusion, then I'll ask you.
no problem. You can always reach out to Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Somebody has a question here. Okay, no more question. Okay. So I'll just give a recap, show you the slides again. And if you need to ask me something, you can go ahead and ask it. So this was what we started by saying. By the end of this unit, you will know the critical role of business analysis, how to position it within the overall discipline of project management, and why is creating a formal business analysis documentation strategy justified. So by the end of this lesson, I think you all understood this. We looked at the meaning of business analysis, how does it fit in the overall role of a project, the definition of a project, 2 different perspectives. Now there are more perspectives, we'll look at it later on, but these are 2 broad perspectives of looking at projects. How the 2 perspectives are integrated and what are the typical project phases. And as I said, I don't know if you guys have heard about Agile or Scrum, but there some of these activities are run simultaneously. So this is good to know, but if you work in an Agile or Scrum environment, we will of course touch upon those topics. I'll tell you what they are. Then you will, only when you are in a project you will understand how the project is functioning, how what kind of policies the company has, what perspectives do they consider. Then this was the BA's role throughout the project, the triple constraints, cost, time and scope, the accountabilities, project scope creep, why is it dangerous if the scope creep is not managed, how tiny adjustments can just cause a lot of loss in terms of time and effort and resources, and why we should stay away from scope creep as much as possible. This is the definition of scope creep, what is to be included, what is to be excluded. Project owner owns acceptable risk. Every project will have risk, and the owner has to be accepting of a reasonable percentage of risk. There's a value triangle, visibility, traceability, accountability, 3 very, very important values for a business analyst. How do you provide visibility? How do you provide accountability? And how do you provide traceability for your project? This was a broad look at the process of business analysis. This is the underlying theme, the 4 most important things that you do. Elicit the requirement. Elicit means to bring out, which means to get the requirements in as much detail as you can from the client. Structuring them, documenting them formally, creating your BRD, business requirement document, and this is very important and we'll look at this in detail. Why do you need to have a formal documentation strategy? Okay. After looking at the recap, have you come up with more questions? Any of you? Anything that you want?
Garima, I think you missed one. Hello, Garima?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think you missed one thing. I just happened to see what is that to be and is something like that, right? There is one like.
We'll look at that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is as is.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
To be.
As is and to be, yes. What
so
is that?
as is meaning, as is means what, where your project is right now. For example, I can give you an example of maybe there's a company named Target, and they are using a software wherein they track the activities of their salespeople on their systems.
Correct.
Okay, and they want to make it so easy to track that all their salespeople and sales managers, the whole sales team, can see each other's activities on one single portal, and they can integrate it with maybe the stores or the logistics or anything else. So my as-is condition is, I have a system which tracks my salespeople. It's not good enough. It's not integrated with my other systems. And 2B is, I want a system which is wherein I can see everything on one single portal. It's connected to logistics, to supplies, to stores, and everybody is able to integrate with everybody else and take each other's help, share documents, knowledge, goals, everything.
So it's about upgrading the system, right? Whatever the current I have, I'm not happy, so I want to upgrade the system.
I will not use the term upgrade.
Okay.
It could be an upgrade. That's a possibility. Correct. But it could be a totally different system.
Oh yeah.
It could be something absolutely new that they have never done before. It could be an old system which was not good at that time, but they want to tweak it. So it could be anything. Okay. But from where I am right now to where I want to be in 6 months or 3 months, whatever the project timeline is. This is as is and to be, and for a business analyst, it's very important to look at both the conditions, because only then you will be able to provide solution to the to be condition.
Yeah, thanks very much. Good.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, what else I can help you guys with? Shikha, are we doing okay?
Yes, Garima. I think I have been able to understand quite a lot.
Okay, good.
So thank you very much.
Don't worry. And you come up with more questions, you can always email Mark and he'll connect me. So don't worry about it. Rachna?
Yeah, I'm good right now.
Yeah, good. Okay. Samir? Anybody? Okay. So I will connect with Mark. I'll ask him to share a small exercise with you. It's not a whole project, it's a small exercise. And you guys prepare the answer and email it to Mark. And it will just help you tie everything together in terms of what we have learned today. Yeah?
Yeah. Garima, I have a question not related to today's presentation, but in general.
Yeah.
About this course. I just wanted to know how technical a business analyst has to be, or this course is going to be. Are we going to learn some languages like SQL or something, or how much do we need to know about that as a business analyst?
As I said, a business analyst doesn't need to be from a technical background. I just showed you the role of a business analyst, and nowhere it says that they have to code. Yeah, they have to, most of their role is to till analysis part. Yeah, designing the software, making it, not their part. Testing, they don't do unit testing, they don't do system integration testing. All they do is user acceptance testing, which means training the users on how to use that app. Okay, and when you have been part of designing that app from day one, you know it really well, it's easy to train others, right?
Okay.
So that is their role, and we will not. We will not learn. I'll touch upon SQL and everything, but we'll not go in detail. We will look at some of the tools that are used to prepare wireframes and mock-ups, and we will also look at Visio. We will look at the whole Microsoft suite and how it helps you in business analysis. I mean, you will of course be needing that definitely. So this is what we'll look at, but this is not going to be technical. Anybody with a basic IQ and with an open mind for learning can learn this and do it really well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so guys, good night all of you. If you have any feedback, don't hesitate to give it to Mark or put it on the blog. And I'll send you a small, a tiny exercise to work on. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Good night.
Yeah, Garima, it was a wonderful presentation. Wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Hi everyone. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Rachna, Shika, Anish, and Samir. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Mark.
Okay. Okay. So here I'm going to show the training blog. Okay. What exactly you have to do. And I appreciate it to. Okay. I can hear someone. Okay. Shika. Shika, can you please mute your microphone? Yeah. Thank you. So let me share my screen. All right. So here, this how, so once you get a link to your email, so let's go ahead with the business analyst course. So this is how you got the email. So once you click and open it, first thing what I want you to do is go to the pages, So towards the left side is see home, assignments, course material, questions to trainer. Go to this page which says questions to trainer and drop down subscribe to site changes. Right? Because when you subscribe to site changes, what happens, whatever we post here, email will be sent out to your inbox. So that will help you to save your time. And second is the assignments will be posted in the assignments page. So you can download it and you can post it back. So you have the option, because I've given the complete access only for the 2 pages. And session links, the links will be posted over here. Okay, this page, session links. So please go here, click it and register yourself, or you can click it and you can join the session at the exact time. If there is any cancellation in the class or anything, that will be posted, over here. Okay, where it says questions to trainer, because you have only 2-page access where you get the emails. Okay, so this is how the blog will look. And do you have any questions at the moment? Anyone? Okay, so I believe you don't have any questions. So thank you for your time.
Sorry, Mark. Shika here.
Yeah.
Mark, can you send me a link of this blog once?
No problem. Okay, I can still do it. Moreover, if you want to find out, just go to just open a new tab and type sites.google.com. Okay, so when you do it, whatever pages you have access, so you can go to my sites or data sites. Oh, okay, it's supposed to come. Okay, wait. Okay, think there's some problem with this. Okay, yeah. So no problem. I'm going to send the link to everyone. Yeah? Shika? You're fine?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. All right, guys. If you have any question, you can send me an email to my email address. It's info@exolentonline.com. So have a wonderful evening. Good night. Thank you. Bye.